Always appreciate a chance to talk with Alyssa Orange, sports director, Pig Trail Nation. Brings her presence with her every Tuesday here on Halftime. Good afternoon, Alyssa, and happy Tuesday. What's going on?
Hey, guys. Happy Tuesday to you. Not too much going on today on this Tuesday for me. How are y'all?
Good. We've got a basketball game tonight, 6 o'clock. Can you put a level of importance on what this game means for Cal's group?
Yeah, I think you really need a win tonight. And I know that this sounds hard because of what's going on in the grand scheme of things. It's early, but you really need to kind of set a precedent and really get the ball rolling as you move into December into SEC play and start to figure things out. And the last thing you want to do is start SEC play in January hobbling and not figuring out who you are as a basketball team. And you're going to continue to evolve as the season progresses. You still want to be playing your best basketball in March, but they still really, really need to figure out some key issues like offense and really playing as a team offensively and who's going to fit where and what roles. And so this is a big game for them on the road at Miami, because then you turn around and you go play Michigan in Madison Square Garden next week. You got to start piling wins together to get some confidence with this team.
Alyssa, there's some big slate of football games, couple win, and you're in the playoff 12. I guess the biggest one that I see is the Clemson-SMU game. Anyway, if that's a close game, both those teams get into the playoff 12, or do you just think the ACC is going to have either one of those, Clemson or SMU?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first off, how wild is that, Matt, right? That Syracuse stole that ACC championship spot for Miami.
Oh, my goodness.
With that win on Saturday. Still trying to wrap my brain around that.
Michigan over Miami, Ohio
right?
State. We just talked about Arkansas basketball limping into conference play. Clemson's limping into their ACC game. Ohio State's limping into the playoff 12.
Yeah, no, and I think so, and that's the thing, is the way that these teams are coming into these conference championships only make the argument for the SEC to have more teams stronger. If you were Clemson and you were playing your best football and you had a slip-up and Miami slipped up and now you're in, because the margin of error was so small, it'd be different, but it's not. And I think that if Clemson wins and Clemson is in, there's a strong case for SMU, right? But I understand that conference in the ACC.
I'm with you, Alyssa. I don't think you should be punished for earning the right to play in your conference's championship game.
Exactly. I think the other way around, though, if SMU wins, I don't think Clemson is in.
I agree.
That's
just the nature of the beast right now.
Alyssa, I appreciate the idea that the SEC, I think even this year, I don't think the quality of play is quite the same as it was in previous years. And that's not indicative necessarily of like a downturn in SEC football. This is the best college football league. I still don't like the idea of a 3-loss team having a chance to play for a national title. It doesn't sit well with me. I've gone through Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss's resumes and all of that. I looked at BYU and Arizona State and Iowa State and all of that kind of stuff. And I can't stomach the thought of a 3-loss team having a chance to play for a national. I just don't like it. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I get it. But, that's kind of where we are right now when you got to pick 12 teams. And so what's more important? These SEC teams who have basically beat each other up all year in the hardest league in college football, who might have 3 wins, but those 3 wins are to the other 3 teams in the college football playoff, or a team like an SMU, right, or a team like a BYU. And, that's the argument we were having a year ago with Florida State when there were only 4. You punished a team who was 12-0, 13-0, in the championship game because they lost a quarterback.
Yeah, so that was it. That was the only reason why.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's it. That was it. You punished a team because their starting quarterback was hurt. That went undefeated still. Okay, over an SEC team with a couple of losses. And so now you just have the same problem on a much bigger scale, and now there's so much more discussion because there are 3 lost teams who could be playing for a national championship because their league is stronger than BYU's or SMU's who is playing in the ACC, and it's still the same argument. If you cannot penalize SMU for the ACC being a weak conference right now, that's not fair. They won the games they were supposed to, just like Florida State won the games they were supposed to last year. But we're right back at it, at the same discussion. We just now have, 4 other teams. Like, you've got a top 8, and you've got 4 other teams who are like, well, yeah, sure, these 6 teams could get in. Let's figure out why these 4 are better than these other 2.
Give me, it's, I don't know if like a postscript or whatever about this, about the football season that we just saw conclude. And what are you expecting out of these next couple of weeks? I know Sam goes under the knife today, so might be, a few days before. I guess he gets back out of the hospital today, if I remember being told,
get
surgery and just basically walk out. You walk out of the hospital.
Have surgery and walk out. Yeah, that's what he told us when he talked about it a couple weeks ago. What he was told is that he'll have the surgery and he'll be able to walk out afterwards, after all the drugs wear off, and be right back at work. So, yeah, I think timing-wise for them, they obviously planned it out towards the dead period anyways, so he can do a lot of work from the office and from home and continue to recruit. And I think, continue to meet with players because this is really, we've already seen a couple of players enter the transfer portal, and we've seen a couple guys announce that they're coming back. And this is really where he said, my first business is to keep the guys on our team that I want to keep and trying to get guys to stay. We talk about, who you're going to get from the portal and who are you going to sign and all this other stuff. Well, you also got to figure out, how you're going to keep guys. And so that's really where we're sitting right now. And then come the time, once the recruiting window is up and you've signed your class and you kind of have an idea, that's when you start looking at the transfer portal and what you're going to do. But you got to really work hard to keep the guys that are in your room right now.
Yes, I'm with you there. What do you think? What's your gut feeling now? I get that Three's leaving and he's going on to try to better himself and get a starting spot. I get that. But what is your gut feeling about our 2 coordinators? Is Petrino and Williams both going to be on the staff when the season starts next year?
Oh, I want to say yes. I feel like Travis Williams will be. I think he'll get some interest, right? And he deserves it, right? Like, you want your coordinators to be pursued, right? That means they're doing a good job. But I think Travis Williams is here. Bobby is tough because, he can be as selective as he wants to be. He could go and take any job he wants, or he can stay because he can be selective and do it. So he's a little bit more of a wild card. And
do you think is there a thing that maybe him and Taylon Green could be hip to hip, where if Bobby did go somewhere, he takes Taylon with him?
He could. He could. The other side of that coin is he feels like, and I don't mean this any disrespect to any side, but maybe he feels like he's done all he could with Taylon, and then he doesn't, and Taylon stays here because he likes to be here, or Taylon just stays here because he wants to. But Bobby brought him in, and I know that relationship is really important. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, Malachi Singleton going into the transfer portal doesn't bother me. I want it for him. He deserves to go somewhere that's going to let him play, right, and be a starter and compete for a starting job. I'm really excited about what KJ Jackson can bring to the table, and quite frankly, I'd like to see KJ Jackson compete for a starting spot, or at least that really strong number 2 backup.
Well, it seems like that'll be the opportunity he could get once you get into spring ball. Really does. If the backup's gone, well, what happened last year? The backup transferred, and Malachi moved right into that role. And I think that's exactly the way that it ends up going. Alyssa, we'll leave it there. Yeah. Thanks for hopping on today. We'll look forward to talking with you next Tuesday as well. All right, guys. Happy Tuesday. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Alyssa Orange with us each Tuesday on Halftime.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.